human aspect of this gets overlooked so much. I mean, I remember when I was on the A's beat, the players' girlfriends and wives would always like text and DM me like, "Are we getting traded? What's going on? What are you hearing?" Because nobody knew like what was happening, and you always see this roster churn with the A's. It's a constant. So,
Yeah.
I mean, not to mention, I mean, I talked to the ground crew guys. Like, they're like, oh, what are we going to do? Are we going to have a job? Like, if we go to another park, is that grounds crew just going to handle all this stuff now, and we're just toast now? Like, nobody knows, and I think that uncertainty is just devastating for the human psyche. And I think that it's just painful. And I do want to touch on this. Like, I want to get to your relationship with the fans, but I think it's interesting to dive into this now. Like, you just recently announced your retirement. You could easily still play. I mean, your talent is still there, but I found so admirable and so interesting what you said in your retirement message about all this. I mean, you're doing this on your terms. You're gonna, be able to preserve hopefully some of your body and arm and everything else that you don't have to wear down anymore. You're doing something for you, not for the game, and I think that's so cool. Again, human aspect of all this, like. You're not Trevor May, baseball player. You're a genuine, real, good human being, and I think it's so cool just to see you kind of take control of your own future like that.
Thank you. That's important to me. It became clear to me that it was important to me for me to have agency over that, because, like I had mentioned earlier in our conversation, like you just not having agency was my least favorite part of playing, and it was my least favorite part since I was drafted. Now that's normal for jobs.
Mm-hmm.
So let me be very clear. I am not asking for anyone's sympathy, pity, or even empathy. You don't have to. You probably can empathize with that very easily, because nobody has much agency. But the 10 hours a day, if there's a rain delay, you got to sit there and wait until some guy you don't know tells you it's okay to either leave or we're playing. And it's just, there's all these factors that you have no control over, and you're just told to stay there and wait. And that got old, very old, because the motivations and the agendas were money. It became every single decision made was only money, economics, and that started disaligning with my values a little bit, to where every time I turned my head or looked around, there was a decision being made, not in the spirit of humanity, but in how much money can a very small group of people make in this situation. And we're not even going to think about what it does. We're not willing to relinquish a little bit of money for anything else. So that was a disconnection happening. I know that's not enough to be done, but there was that combined with the way the body goes, and then being told you're not good enough anymore, and that's why you quit something, is like, maybe it's a fear of mine, maybe I'm scared of it, whatever. That just doesn't sound very fun to me, and so I decided that that's not what's going to happen to me. And I've talked to other guys who have left money on the table. One guy people don't actually really know much about this, but Michael Goodire left he had a player option, and he just said, "No, I'm good." It was $13 million. But he was just done. And he's a guy, if you've ever spoken, I don't know if you've ever spoken to Cuddy, but he is very, very secure in what he wants. And he was just like, I just knew it was over. That I had money. That's not a like unmeaningful, not meaningful amount of money. That's like, he goes, yeah, that life change, like that would completely change. That could still change my life at that point, but wasn't necessary. I didn't need to do it, and I felt like I had been telling myself I need to finish things like that. I have to, and I didn't. I came to the realization that I didn't have to, and that's freeing. So I had the same realization. And sure, yes, I left money on the table. I could have made more money in my career. But I also this was never playing baseball was never a means to an end in terms of, I don't want to ever work again after I'm done playing. The way that our economy works now, and the way everything is at this moment, it's so crazy to say, but like, even if I played 3 more years, I don't know if that would have made me enough money to not do anything for the rest of my life. I don't know if it was possible for me anymore, which is insane, because I don't know how everyone else is. I don't understand how people can do doing, a lot of people are pushing through and doing what they're doing and barely getting by when they shouldn't have to just barely get by. So that just I'm like, I'm gonna do something immediately when I'm done. Like I'm gonna transition immediately, doing something that I really enjoy doing, and then that'll bring me what I need. I'll have my needs met that way, and I know I will, and I trust that, and I've worked very hard to build that. So I'm just gonna trust that. And that's as far as I got, because it's still scary. You just don't know until you do it. I'm still terrified to this moment. At this moment, I'm very happy and very excited, but I'm also just like, there's uncertainty. There's always going to be uncertainty. It's life, but it's, the excitement is a little bit stronger than the uncertainty. So I'm really enjoying moving forward with it. But that's why. That's, people are like, "Why'd you retire?" I do it on Twitch. I'm like, "Why'd you retire, man? You still, it's still gas in the tank." And I said, "Because I wanted to." Like that. I want to. I don't know what else to say. I want to. Someone's like, "You think Japan could go and play in Japan?" I'm like, guys, I retired like a week after the season. Like this isn't a the MLB doesn't want me anymore situation. This is a I don't want to play situation. That defeats the purpose. Why would I go to Japan? I think I can still play in MLB. If I played, I'd want to play in the MLB.
Yeah, I know you could clearly still play in MLB. I mean, I have this funny thing where I play a lot of fantasy baseball on top of just, always loving baseball. And I gauge sort of some guys like, is this guy fantasy baseball roster worthy? You were absolutely fantasy baseball roster worthy. I definitely was riding some of those saves towards the end of the year.
I'm glad I could help.
But I wanted to, watching your message, and you could take this either way, because I just what you said, struck me in a couple ways. One, when I watched your retirement message, obviously everybody loved what you said about, John Fisher and sell the team. But like what I kind of took from it was, this is a guy that is making a decision based on what will make him happy, not based on money, based on like life and what will make him happy. And I was so proud of you just for that. I thought that was so cool. But then also I see this weird parallel in a sort of way where you see like the Vegas relocation A's thing. It's almost like they're not doing that for the love of baseball. Like they're doing it purely for money. So it's like two opposite ends of the spectrum. And feel free to take that any which way you want. But for me, my takeaway from your retirement announcement was this guy is taking control of his life. He's doing something to make him happy. And I think that's the best way to always make a decision if you can do it.
Yes, exactly. And I love the end part there. You had, if you can do it.
Yeah.
And I'm in a unique position. I think more unique than it's been I don't know, since 2008 of being able to make this decision this way. I'm able to make the decision like this. Like there's no reason sometimes you stick with something like, if I could just make a little bit more money. I'm gonna be honest. I went one more year to make a little bit more money. I was like, I'm doing this for the money. And I was so fortunate that I got to be with this organization and meet the people I met, because they made it more and more. It was less about just being there to trying to get cash the paycheck. And that's what a lot of the stuff happened in early in the season in April, because I was trying to approach it like this is just a job. That made me miserable. That is not how I play. That is not how if I put time and effort into something, I want to create value to it. I want to be engaged enough to where I feel I'm not just going through the motion. I'm not just there taking up space and doing the bare minimum. That drives me nuts, and that's not who I am. And so I tried to approach it that way. That killed me. And I was like, I got to find a way to get the juice. And it took a month, and we did it. But that's what that was for, because I wasn't able to treat it like we're doing this just for the money. I don't understand how that can be, how people do that so easily. And I'm okay with not understanding that. I think I don't want to know. I don't want to be like that ever. But yeah, it was a weird, and then getting there and then going through all of that and trying to be like, I want to get to a point where I can make a decision for myself and not for the money. And then the exact opposite is happening to the group of people that I'm there with. It's happening to them. Someone else is doing the opposite of what I'm doing. They're doing it. I think genuinely, just based on what I see, I think, and this is based on just theory and based on how I'm feeling, I think John feels like he has to as well. I think he feels like he has to make the team needs to make. He has to make the team make more money, and he's trying to do that, whether that's in value or whatever. But he needs to boost the value of the team so that he can sell it for more than he purchased it for, so that it is a successful business venture. I think that's what he feels like he has to do. I don't know him personally. I don't know what his family was like, but if history is an indicator of anything, when your parents create a fortune doing that by creating value that wasn't there before they took over, you're their children, you probably feel like you have to do that as well. And that is not, I'm empathetic to that. I could totally see how that would be very hard, but it starts with awareness of why you're doing things. And I hope that is a realization that this whole process maybe is instilled. Like, I don't have to make this a big thing. It can just be this great thing people love, and that's okay. And it still makes money. It just doesn't need to make infinitely more money forever, like the stock market tells us everything should, because that's not how reality is. Things that don't accrue value forever, they just don't. It's just never going to happen. So stop chasing it, everybody. It's not going to happen.
Well, he could.
Some points got to be enough.
Yeah, but he bought the team for 180 million. Like, he could sell it right now.
It's already, yeah,
maybe even $2 billion. I mean, he could sell it right now and say, look, mommy, I did it. Like, I did something myself. Like, you didn't just hand me everything on a silver platter, which they did, but he could say, look, I made $1 billion all by myself. I'm a big boy. And I think that would probably be great. I don't know why he has to move the team to do that, though.
It might not be the buy and hold situation where nothing really happened over that time. You just got the money. Maybe that's not enough. Maybe there needs to be an event that is attached to the value increase for him. Maybe. I don't know. But like,
nobody does. That's the problem.
But that makes sense to me. Like, that is a very like logical thing. Like a feeling that you like, I got to put my stamp on it. And that everyone feels that in their jobs. That's what we're taught.
Yeah.
That's what we're taught. Be exceptional and have a legacy, have something to point at that you did. And everyone feels that way. That's why we have then the COVID created this mental health crisis. And I didn't create it, just exposed it. People are like, whoa,
definitely.
Whoa, who am I creating this for? Who am I creating this value for? Am I getting any of the value here? A lot of people are getting not really. And that's where we're seeing a lot of the changes, the way people want to work, and they want to work remotely, or they're quitting their jobs, or because they don't see themselves being valued. People want to be valued. And that applies to billionaires. They also want that. They want that feeling as well. And maybe this is how he feels like he can do that. And I cannot hate some or really be mad at somebody for that if that's the way that they were taught, because how are they supposed to know? How, like, I wasn't there, like no one was there. Like, I don't know. I'm not their parent, but if that is the way, it's up to them to notice those things and make the changes. So I don't know. Those were all guesses, and I'm trying not to just guess, but that's all we got.
That's all we got, Trevor. It's all we got is guesses right now.
That's a tale.
No one tells us anything.
Like,
we try to extract it.
Twitter was pretty much purchased by Elon because he was at dinner and someone dared him. Like, that's literally what happened. Like, that literally happened. So like, he's like, oh, I can't. And then he did. And then now here we are. Like, it's sometimes it's that dumb. Sometimes it's just that dumb.
You talked about it a minute ago, and also just mentioned the mental health aspect of things. But early in the season, having a tough time with just trying to cash a paycheck. I thought it was really neat how you were outspoken. Like, you shared, and it's hard to share sometimes, your own personal battles. And I know my wife goes through a lot of issues with, like, anxiety disorder and other things. So I thought it was really powerful for you to speak up and use your platform the way you did early in the season, especially. So, I mean, you don't have to get too deep on this, but how tough was that, and how empowering in a way was it to kind of overcome and speak out about an issue like that, help other people realize that, you're not the only one going through it?
It's extremely empowering because, one, it helps reinforce a lot of things you're working on by being public about them, because there's an accountability factor. Like, I'm working on this, and then you've said it to thousands of people, kind of got to stick with it. So there was that part. Like, I actually had a very meaningful conversation with my agent a lot about that. It's like, how public should I be about this? Because being embarrassed about it, like, I don't have that stigma, anymore. Like, I'll be honest, I always thought I didn't. And then there was a point, like, where I was trying to my wife and I were talking about she started therapy herself solo, and it took me a while to get in on it because honestly it was like it felt like it was a use of time that I don't want to use. Not that I was against therapy, I just don't want to spend the time doing it. And then I got it, then I did it, and I'm like, this is the best thing I ever decided to do. So I have no problems talking about stuff like that, and I haven't for a long time, in terms of just being embarrassed by things that are going on in my life, because at the end of the day, you have to. I think life is a journey of learning your purpose.
Mhm.
Everyone wants to feel like they have a purpose. That purpose can change. I've realized that it can be different year to year, and that's okay. You don't actually have to know what it is either. Like you don't have to articulate it. You could just it could be day to day, and that could, one day you can have a different purpose, and that's what your job is that day. Someone needs you, but at the end of the day, it's helping other people. Maybe if I'm willing to go through some stuff and be embarrassed, or talk about something and not be embarrassed about it when thousands of other people would be embarrassed to talk about it, maybe I can give them, by me talking about it, gives them courage to talk about it themselves, even if it's just with their parents or just with their significant other or just with their best friend. Like if that's a value I can add and I never hear about it, then don't even know that it's happening, but it does, then that's enough for me. I don't need acknowledgement. I don't need that. And so I was like, you feel a little bit of responsibility too. So I was like, I'm going to talk about this thing. I'm going to make this happen and be valuable for not only me, but everyone else that is listening to this as well as I can. If anyone gets any value out of this, then at least my struggles will have created some value for somebody else and maybe help them get through something. So, I just feel like learning to accept what's happening around you is a big thing I've learned. And, being aware of when you're feeling, and then taking the journey down to figure out why. And it's just that simple. And then accepting that every single thing that's happened up to this point was supposed to happen, and everything that happens after this is also supposed to happen, and everything happening right now is also supposed to happen. So it just feels freeing to like not feel like there's any shoulds attached as much, catching the shoulds and thinking more in a want-need situation. I think that's what's helped me a lot. So I hope that people are getting value out of that, and hopefully they're being able to make those decisions about their own lives and how they're moving through, or starting their journey. Just be like, I can get someone to talk to. I can do that. That's something I can do. Take that first step. So hopefully people are continuing to have those thoughts, and that I'm going to keep talking about it, because I'm still a work in progress, and I always will be. Like, I'm never going to figure it all out. No one ever does. So don't think you're going to either, because you're just going to be doing your best. Just do your best every single day, because that's all you can do. That's a term baseball players say a lot, and we don't follow as much as we should, by being kind to yourself when you do your best. But once you accept that and get that to that point, it's pretty great. Pretty great.
Yeah. I mean, of all the things that happened this year, and obviously just having the experience of you being on the A's this year, I thought that was one of the more powerful things. And I know that it definitely reached people. I know that it definitely touched people. And I think that you doing that was amazing. I just think it helps lift people, whether you realize it or not. I think that's a very salient point you made. And did you feel like support back from A's fans? Did you feel support back from people around the team? I know that this, like you said, it's a very small, almost tight-knit Oakland community, but did you feel it in the way that the fans treated you and in the team to some extent?
1000%. Shout out to everybody in the A's organization that gave me the space. David Force was the first guy I talked to that first night, and he was very, very candid with me and sharing his own, his own. He's very vulnerable with me back, which I just like. That's just something you just don't see. There's a lot of GMs that don't even really they would have sent someone else in to do it. And so I took a lot of courage, and just to kind of meet me where I was at. And wow. And then the training staff to kind of to let me just word vomit at him while I was just so upset and keyed up. And then my players and stuff, like the older guys hung out with me. I remember that night it was me and TK Kemp and Jace Peterson and Caprellian, all just kind of sitting around. I was just explaining what's going on, because they just didn't know. Like, They just didn't really know that it was at the level it was at and where I was at, what I was thinking about doing. And that's the first time I mentioned retirement to them, and that was in April. And they were like, "Oh, you're serious? Wow!" Like, and they were all still very much in the, you got to play 10 years or you're a failure. And I think things have changed a lot, and maybe in their mindsets too. So, yeah, I can't say enough about the support and the staff and Cots and everybody was just wonderful. And then the fans were incredible. I had nothing but support for them from them. And I think that the number of times I heard that things I said or was going through was helpful to them was incredible. But like, there was even on social media, very little like, "Oh, is there anything softer than," like, it's funny. We're so far past thinking that. I think people are getting past just like that is just not a real thing. That it's just not cool. It's not even edgy to say anymore. It's just kind of,
it's kind of, yeah, it's just stupid to say something like that at this point,
So yeah, there's very little of it. It was very easy to pass over and not internalize. So yeah, support was beyond anything I could have imagined, and not surprising at all, judging by how they've supported the cause to keep the team.
Yeah, I mean, you spent 1 year here. I think you've cemented yourself as an A's legend just in the fan base alone for, using your retirement platform to get their back. I think that what people don't understand in this process, you probably see it, is like A's fans have done so much, but they feel like they're on an island. They feel like they don't have support. And so when someone like you speaks up for them, it just lifts them. It just does so much for them. They're flying planes over the MLB owners meetings as we speak that say vote no on relocation. I mean, these guys have been unbelievable. The Oakland 68s, Last Dive Bar. I mean, these guys are crazy.
Yeah, shout out to both, by the way, they sent me a bunch of stuff too. I have not worn them yet. It's coming. I will. They'll get but I got the shirts. I got plenty of shirts.
I'm glad to hear those landed. So many people were like, "Can you get hold of Trevor so we can send him a care package?" Because you mentioned the sales shirt, and everybody was like trying so hard to send you the stuff.
I got a hanky. I got a bunch of cool stuff. A lot of the flyers from the events, and they sent me one of them. I think it's just so cool. It's really awesome. These are things I'm going to keep and cherish for a long time. One of the sales shirts might get framed with with some jerseys, but next to the Mega Cabrera jersey, I should have. Hey, maybe I can send it back and get the staff at the 68s to all sign it too. That'd be cool.
Oh man, yeah, that would be sick. I bet you they'd be more than happy to do that for you.
I do have a letter with some signatures on it with the higher ups, so that'll probably get framed too. But maybe we'll put together a whole thing. I don't know. I got plenty of shirts to send, but now that I've said this, they're probably just going to send me another one. I'll sign.
You'll get another one.
But yeah, any way we want. Yeah, you guys know where to send it. So yeah, it's super cool. I'm just so glad to be welcomed in, and I really hope that you've made it abundantly clear. There's no way that any powers that be, any owner doesn't know. Everyone knows, and if there was if this were an Olympic event for putting how a fan base feels in front of the people that matter. This would be a gold medalist performance here. Like, you guys, the work you've done has been incredible. Everybody, yourself very much included. The people, the champions of the movement in the area has been admirable, and I'm honored to be able to help in any way that I can, no matter how small it is.
Well, the sell shirt is in Cooperstown now. That's official. And I know we got to wrap up. I could probably talk to you all day. I'll let you go, but do you have any last, you told a really funny story about the chair that you weren't able to get a real nice chair to sit in, just a crummy one. Do you have any other favorite, funny Oakland Coliseum A's stories? There's so many. I mean, I remember one year I actually took Bob Melvin's microwave from his office because they didn't give us one in the press box. And Melvin said, "I don't ever use this. You can have it." So I had to carry his microwave up to the press box where it remains to this day. But there's so many famous Coliseum stories. Do you have any other untold stories you can leave us with?
I'll be honest. Generally my experience was pretty consistent. There was no like it was always like, "Oh, there's a possum up in the thing again, up in the press box," or like family of raccoons like running off of something, or like, I don't know, a fan gets to wander somewhere and gets intercepted. Like, they're lost. They're not trying to sneak back there. They're just like, "Where am I? And we're like, you are almost in the clubhouse,
Like
right?
you went up the wrong tunnel from the diamond level, dude.
And
You know,
there's two tunnels, and there's a lot of doors, and
yes.
it's very confusing. So and that's why we have so many security guards to guide. It's mostly to guide tour guides. So yeah, I mean, other than that, like there was a lot of like stuff that was updated. Like the kitchen was brand new. I just didn't I didn't see a lot of the stuff that a lot of people were mentioning, because things are getting are better. They are utilizing space better.
Yeah,
They
you're in the
told me, Raiders
locker room now. I mean,
yeah, it's
before
big.
that
Like,
clubhouse was tiny and dingy, but now you have this whole huge football
yeah, it's
locker
where
room.
the
So
weight
it's
room is
nice.
now. It
Yeah.
was tiny, and the weight room's great too, because it's a solid size weight room, and yeah, it's just it's a little bit of a maze down there, but other than that, like everyone did their best, and the maintenance crew and the people who came in and cleaned and everything, like they were top notch, world class. So but the chair thing too, and I kind of feel bad about the chair thing, because people took it, ran with it, like I was like, wow,
Yeah, that thing went viral.
no one will give me a chair. It wasn't like no one will give me a chair. This was more of a throwaway. I'm like, do we have any other chairs? And they were just like, nope, these are the chairs. Like, it was like in the game. It's like no one could go get me a chair at that time. Sure, there's probably some chairs in a room, right? But right this minute in the fourth inning, no. And then the guys who were already there, they would all have their spots, and they would purposefully put the broke chair where I sat, because I would throw a fit every day. But there was one chair that was it wasn't a folding chair. It was like a wireframe, like office chair that like was broken. So when you went back, it went way back. So it like almost collapsed all the time. So that chair would be sitting, and that chair we would just put in the corner. I would literally throw it, like stop putting it, and then I come back the next day and it would be in my spot. I even put it in the garbage can once. Next day, it was in my spot. So I was like, it was like the Groundhog's Day of chairs. So that's when it became a joke. And then the guys were starting to do it to me on purpose. They were like,
yeah, that's what I was saying. That sounds more like a teammate thing than a Coliseum staff thing, for sure.
But again, I was like, get rid of this chair, because someone would come and like fold the chairs up again and put them away. And I'm like, stop putting this chair as one of our options. Please just take this one away. I don't know what else to do with this thing to get rid of it.
You should have walked it to like the visiting bullpen, maybe.
Then moved it down there
over there. Yeah,
that would have been funny. Should have did that. But I'm sure it would have reappeared again, because it became a joke. So that's where that came from. There were some good chairs. I was the last one down the pen, so they would always leave me the bad one, and then I would look them in the eyes like, who's doing it? And like, no one ever no one ever fessed up.
That was ridiculous. All right, Trevor, man, I'll let you go. I know you got a lot to do. Again, I could probably talk to you forever, but we'll stop here. Thank you so much for joining me. And I'm sure that if you check your P.O. box soon, you're probably going to have a whole bunch more mail after this. So
awesome. I'm looking forward to it. Thanks, man. Appreciate you.